Test. I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. Testing, testing, testing. Okay. I think we're working now. All right. So, hey, welcome to another live stream of Virtual Flight Diaries. And we are here with leg 2 of our AM-21 flight, our Fate is the Hunter series, a book by Ernest Gann, A Pilot's Memoirs of Early Aviation. And yeah, so DC-3, we last landed in Wilkes Barre. So we'll be taking off from Wilkes Barre Avoca Airport and heading up to Syracuse. And it's pretty spicy out. So Syracuse is supposed to be full IFR with a pretty hefty crosswind, which we all know the DC-3 does not like. So it's going to be an interesting approach. So using say intentions, like I said, with the first leg of our series, I want to keep it as simple as possible. I didn't want too much modernism in the flight, so we are not online to try to mitigate the whole jet thing. All right, so let me get some things going here. Yeah, you guys wanted to fire that up, and yeah, okay. So we're good. I don't know why my mic wasn't working before, but hopefully it's working good now. You guys can hear me. And what else do I need? Oh, okay. So I made a couple pretty interesting mistakes the last time, with procedure-wise with the plane. So I'm going to try to follow the checklists a little more precisely on this round, so that I don't miss things like landing lights and putting, auto lean for cruise, so on and so forth. So to keep it up, so the story of AM-21 that we're following here is Ernest Gann's first time flying on the line. The very first flight, he was assigned to AM-21, which stands for Airmail 21. They used airmail routes to designate line routes. And so Captain Ross has just flown the plane in from Newark, and it's discovered that Ernest has not loaded the plane right. So they're hunting for the mail that has to be delivered to Wilkes Barre, and they can't find it. And here he put it to the back of the plane, so they had to pull out all the bags out of the tarmac and then reload the plane. So now they're late for Syracuse, and Captain Ross has yet to really voice his displeasure in the whole situation, but he makes Ernest load the plane up. Because they're late, he fires up and takes off without the first officer in the seat, because Ernest Gann's in the back putting the bags back into the storage. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take off. We're not going to have our first officer, and we're playing the role of Captain Ross. All right, so let's enter the cockpit checklist. Weight and balance, we are all set. Batteries are off. All the switches are off. Avionics is off. Magnetos left and right are off. Parking brake is set. So actually we want to set the parking brake. In order to do that, we got to pump up the hydraulic fluid. And we're good. We're in the green. So we'll set the cowl flaps to open, which they are. I wonder if there's like a state saving, because I think I left them open. All right, and we're going to put the parking brake on. There we go. Parking brake is on. Tail wheel is locked. Trim is set neutral. Autopilot is off. Fuel is off. Gear handle is down and locked. Flaps up and neutral. Hydraulic reservoir is checked to is full, and the hydraulic flow selector is in the aft position. Entering the cockpit checklist complete. All right, so let's set up for our startup. Fire panel is open. We'll open the doors or the windows for startup. We're gonna go on battery cart. Beacon light to come on. All right, before engine start, cowl flaps open, flight controls free and clear. Carb heat cold and locked, blowers off, propellers high RPM. Throttle's cracked. Mixtures are in the idle cutoff position. Battery is on cart. Fuel gauges checked. We have fuel this round. Fuel selectors left and right to main. Beacon light is on and main ignition is on. We are ready for start. All right, startup procedure. Booster pump right side on. Going to start the right side first. Double check the master switch is on. Magnetos are off. Beacon is on. We are go energizing right. It's a good 10 seconds on the Energizer. All right, mesh. I think we missed it because I didn't have it in. That's right, you can't start from idle cutoff with the ductworks. Hopefully I didn't mess it up. All right, energizing right. Meshing right. There we go. We have light off. And we look over here. We see that temperature's coming up. Oil temperature's coming up. We got fuel pressure is 15 and oil pressure is good. So we are at 1,000 RPMs. And that's a good start on the right side. Okay. So now we can turn on the right generator. Turn on the battery, disconnect the cart. Stabilize the engine. Might keep it at about 1,000 for warm-up. Alright, so booster pump on, left side, right side off. Energizing left. Let that spool up. Dashing. 1, 2, 3. Magnetos. Primer. Hold. And that's light off. Got oil pressure coming up. Fuel pressure is good. And we have our other dials are all warming up. Good. We have 2 good starts. And our looks like it's kind of starting to snow a little bit. Alright, close everything up. Alright, we are good. Well, we're letting that warm up, so avionics could come on. Position light, right, and passing light on. Do our flow here. Booster pump off, left generator on. Starters are off. Alright, we are good. So let's set up for our flight today. Alright, so we're going to go to the Binghamton VOR and then the Syracuse VOR. So we're going to get those set up in the nav. So that's 112.2. That's in there. And Syracuse is 117. So I'm going to put that in here just on standby. And we'll put 117 in the secondary. Just to have that going. Alright, so let's contact ATC.
ITY altitude 100 feet. Arriving and departing runways 428 advised on course heading, altitude, and flight following is requested. Read back all runway and hold short instructions. Advised on initial contact you have information Juliet. Wilkes.
Alright. Wilkes-Barre ground, flight 6 with Juliet, IFR flight plan request. It's not flight plan, it's clearance on request. What am I doing? Alright, let's see if that's all working. I got my spurry up and running. Looking good. Let's bring that RPM back down. We don't want to run it so hard.
Cleared to Syracuse. Radar vector Binghamton. Then as filed. Climate maintain 6000. Departure on 120.95, squawk 1524. Expect runway 28.
Alright, so cleared Syracuse, vectors Binghamton, then as filed. Climb maintain 6000, departure on 120.95. Squawk 1524. And we'll expect runway 28 for departure. Flight 6. Alright, that looks good. We're coming up in the green. We're warming up just nicely. Hydraulics good. It's a little cold out, so let's close up the windows. It's we are definitely in the icing range for sure. Alright, so let's get the pitot heat on, we'll do the windshield on.
Taxi to the gate.
American 1073 Wilkes Barre ground taxi departing at your discretion. Have a good day.
American 1073.
Fix my glasses here.
Young lady.
Well, alrighty then. Alright, so 1524 in the box, so 15.
The radar vectors.
2,
The OR.
4.
Maintain 6,000.
Get that fired up. Alright, so after start checklist.
Expect runway 4.
Alright, generators left, right on. Yes, radio's on and tuned. Altimeter set. Tail wheel unlocked. Lights are on and the parking brake is on. After start checklist complete. Alright. Looks like we're nice and warm. So no need to do a run up. One of these flights will do a run up because I want to show you that, but we had already flown in just a little bit before, so we're ready to go. Wilkes Barre ground, flight 6, request taxi.
Flight 6, taxi to runway 28 via Charlie Bravo Delta, cross runway 22 at your discretion.
All right, so taxi runway 28 via Charlie Bravo Delta, cross runway 22 at our discretion, flight 6. Wow, that's interesting. I've never gotten that runway before. I don't even know if that's an active runway anymore at Wilkes Barre, but we'll take it. All right, parking brake off, and let's get going. All right, we'll set the Spurry to 280 heading. And we'll get that to 280 as a reference. Yeah, so we're default scenery, so none of the taxiway markers add up. All right, clear left, clear right, clear to cross. Oh yeah, blowing right down the runway. All right, coming up here, runway 28. All right, before takeoff checklist, radio set, pitot heat is on anti-ice as required. So I'm actually going to turn the wing on for now. Landing lights are on. Fuel boosters are on for takeoff. Trim is set. We'll do a little aft bump. Alright, trim is set, propellers are set. Auto rich on the mixtures and cow flaps to trail. Alright, good on the checklist. ATC, we'll get tune in the tower. Wilkes Barre Tower, Flight 6, holding short runway 28, ready for departure. And my dogs are going crazy. Don't know if you can hear that.
Flight 6, Wilkes Barre Tower, runway 28, winds 320 at 19er, gusting 30. Fly runway heading cleared for takeoff.
Runway 28, clear for takeoff, fly runway heading, Flight 6. Alright. That's actually not working out very well. I don't know. Alright. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, guys. Let's go.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact departure.
Over to departure, Cessna 65 Whiskey.
American 1221, contact departure.
Contact departure, American 1221, Papa Golf, thank you.
Alright, flaps not needed for takeoff. Alright, we're ready to go. Tail wheel lock. Bring it up 30 inches. Everything's in the green, looking good. Off we go, guys. Off to Syracuse. .48 inches. There's 90 miles an hour. Rotate. Buzzer rate, gear up. that runway heading.
Flight 6, contact departure.
Over to departure, Flight 6. Wilkes Barre departure, Flight 6, climbing 6,000. Wow, it is breezy.
Flight 6, Wilkes Barre departure, radar contact. Clear direct Binghamton.
Direct Binghamton, Flight 6. Alright, let's turn our autopilot on. Pitch up for
Flight 6,
120.
turn left, heading 330 for Binghamton.
And we'll go left 330. I think that's right 330. Got left and right mixed up. Alright, 330 set.
Allegiant 1627, contact Wilkes Barre Tower
Pitch
on
up.
120.1.
Alright, so let's set METO power.
Tower
So that's
12041, Allegiant 1627.
METO power, we got 2450, we'll power back to 35. We establish climb, and then we'll go to climb power. And we'll go back climb power 23 on the RPMs. 35 on the 35 inches. All right, fuel selectors off, landing lights off. Do a barrel reference check. And why do we not have radios? Alright, so we'll keep this heading for now and bring it down to 500. Pitch for 500 before we stall out. Okay, so after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist, flaps up, gear up and locked, fuel boosters are off, climb power is set, landing lights are off after after takeoff checklist complete. Alright, so by now Ernest has gone back into the cockpit and Captain Ross is being served lunch, so the flight attendant gives Captain Ross lunch, and the flight attendant then, or the flight attendant then puts Ernest Gann's lunch on the floor next to him, because they didn't have autopilots. So because we're in a DC-2 and even a lot of DC-3s and stuff, this Spurry autopilot was very high tech stuff. It's like it's like taking your Piper Cherokee and throwing in a G1000 suite to put this thing in here. So they hand flew these routes, and so when the captain was eating, and the captain ate first, the first officer flew the plane. So Captain Ross is eating, and Ernest is finally getting to fly the plane on the line for the first time. Now, it was fairly common for the first officers, new ones especially, to fly in crews, but not land the plane. So at this time, but Captain Ross sits back and lets Ernest fly the whole route to Syracuse and then land the plane. Which then he proceeds to smash into the runway, and they bounce down the runway, and Captain Ross has to wrestle the plane to a stop. So that's this flight. So that was number 2 on the very of the mistakes that Ernest made on his first flight on the line. And we are at hard IMC, guys. Alright, so there is cruise. So we're gonna go fuel selectors to aux. Engine's still running. We're gonna go auto lean. You actually wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to do that one at a time. Make sure the engines are still running. Oh, look at that night breakout. Booster pumps off. Alright, so cruise checklist. Mixture auto lean, fuel selectors to auxiliary cow flaps closed. So let's close them up. Cruise checklist complete. Close, we'll visually inspect them. They are closed. And then we'll turn them off. Alright, all good. Alright, so we got Syracuse up first. So let's make an adjustment towards Syracuse. Oh, there we go. Alright, we got Binghamton. So we're off course. So let's bring it around. Alright, now we're good. Now we're going direct Binghamton. Alright, we'll just monitor that, make sure it's pointing up and down still. We got the big arrow pointing forward, so we're going 2. And that looks good. Double check our fuel. Alright. I'm going to leave the anti-ice on because we are cold and slow and in IMC. So sim update 1 dropped, guys. How about that? Can't rightfully tell because I opted in the beta, so mine still says I'm in the beta, but I don't know. It's looking good. So I'm getting 90 frames per second in the DC-3 streaming.
Take a look for tower 120.1, Jeff 1620. Turn right heading. There, Jeff, second for ILS runway. If you approach, Jeff.
So it seems they've done some optimization. Things seem a little smoother.
Let's get you back on course. Turn right heading 035 vectors for the ILS runway 22
So
approach.
I'm gonna knock on wood.
035 vectors for ILS runway. If you approach, Jeff 1627.
Alright, getting a little off course. Could do. Let's see if we could do a wind direction. So our winds aloft are 292 at 35 knots. So we're going to set that at 135. All right, and 292. And I'll mark that on my computer. We're going 356 minus 10, so 346 true. And 156 on the speed, so speed minus alright, so let's turn to 246 and see what that does. Might be too much. Let that settle in. So that should have given us our wind correction heading and the proper crab for our winds aloft. It's not an exact science, but it might help us keep us from S-turning up the flight line. So I wish I could show this better on how to use this. So there's a panel here. And the green screen keeps cutting it out. Be better to teach this if we had if you all had your own E6Bs. So just to give you a rundown, if you want. So there's a little grommet in the middle here.
Contact Binghamton approach on 127.55.
Course for departure. United 1627 is going around.
So you want to place that at 100 on this chart here. So this is clear. So you put the grommet over 100. And that just makes it easy to calculate the first number. So you turn, so this is as a dial. So you turn the dial to your wind direction. And it's all true. So you have to do math to figure out your magnetic from true. So you're going to need to know the declination for the area. Alright, so your wind's aloft. So what you're going to do is then you're going to take, I use a dry erase in you're going to make a little mark on this panel for your wind speed. And then you're going to then turn this dial to your current heading, true. And that's going to give you your wind direction across your plane. And then you slide this up to your true airspeed, and you look where the dot is on the chart, and if you see here,
runway 28 approach into Syracuse.
there's a -10 and a +10. So
ILS runway 28 approach into Syracuse. Flight 6.
if you look here, -10 would be, minus is this way, plus is this way. So where the dot was closer to -10, so we go here. But you're going to have to go true from magnetic, so you're going to have to add the declination in there to get your true heading. And that's pretty much how it got the ballpark. And as you can see, we're kind of staying on our course. So it's pretty cool. You can see we're flying this way. And like I said, we don't have a fancy computer, so I just had to go with the weather report as our winds aloft. And then, as we all know, weather is, extremely inaccurate, so it's not always perfect, but it seems to be holding. So our calculations seem to be correct. And I'm sure what I described on the E6B is probably very simplified, and I'm sure someone will call me on it, but it's the gist. It's the gist.
Flight 6, contact Binghamton approach on 127.55.
Switching to Binghamton approach on 127.55. Flight 6. Binghamton approach, flight 6. Morning maintaining 6,000 feet.
And so we don't have any distance measuring equipment either. And I could have done the math to figure out where we are, ground speed versus thing, and then I could have done all that. There's the other side of the computer too. I could have calculated our time to waypoint and so on. And this is actually all the first officer's job. So the pilot not flying would have done all these calculations for the pilot flying. It was their job to manage the fuel, calculate the wind correction and time to waypoint and course, and also it was also their job to record their off and on times so they could get paid. Our winds adjusted just a little bit. So we'll make a slight correction. Just watching that needle, which has been pretty rock solid. And as we get closer to Binghamton, so one of the things we know, we don't have distance measuring equipment, but as we get closer to Binghamton, this is going to get more and more sensitive. So you're close when you start chasing the neon. You don't want to chase it too much. Maybe make a couple quick adjustments as you get closer, but cruise power. Make a couple quick adjustments as you get closer, and then you let it pass, and then we'll start recalculating for our next waypoint. wing looks good, no ice. A little bit of ice on the cone. We just hit the prop real quick for a little bit. And we're looking good. So this is going to see start to get sensitive. So the VOR is actually going to be off to our right a little bit as we come up. We're all looking good. Fuel is good. Check our tanks. Plenty of fuel. I overloaded this time. Alright, so we're going to start passing this real soon. You can see we're coming up on it's coming up on our right side. And you're going to start seeing this needle's going to start swinging as it points towards that VOR. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then set, once it starts swinging, I'm going to set the Binghamton VOR. And then our nav2 I'm going to set the Syracuse VOR, and then our nav2 I'm going to set to Binghamton. And we're going to try to keep it in a straight line just like this. So we'll go 112.9 or 112.2 here. So we're watching that as we get closer, starting to swing to, it's starting to come off our right side. So the VOR is out over here. And you see as we're going to start passing it, it's going to start swinging. And this is our to from switch. You see we have this still tuned, our nav2 is still tuned to Syracuse, so we know we're still going in the right direction. So it's a complete situational awareness right here for our navigation. So we know approximately within a few miles where we're at. Swinging around. So let's do the switch. Alright, Syracuse nav 1, Binghamton nav 2, and they'll just flip over. So once this comes in line, we're going to start making our turn towards the needle. To get on our track line. So I'll actually start turning, well, since it's solid off to our right still, that's how far off we were a little bit, so we're going to turn towards it to bring that green line, that green arrow off our nose, off our tail. See where we're at here. Just north. Almost there. to go. Alright, close enough for government work. We're going to bring it back around the pointer to the north. And we're going to try to keep these two lines together. What are Binghamton pointing off our tail, Syracuse pointing off our nose. And then we're on a solid track line, leaving the Binghamton VOR, heading towards the Syracuse VOR. And then at this point, I could do a calculation. So 60 nautical miles to Syracuse. No, I don't have that formula off the top of my head. Traveling at 155. Man, I honestly can't remember that formula to find out how many minutes to our destination. But we're going to get vectored. Alright, so the wind is blowing us a little bit. So turn towards that. Just a little bit. Make a fine adjustment. Up and down. We should be on course and good. Alright, so that's VOR to VOR navigation. Alright, so now that's all set. So we're going to get our ILS tuned into the standby. So that's 1099. That way that's all ready to go. And then I'm going to... We're good there. So that's our course heading for inbound on the ILS, which is 280 degrees. And then we can actually set our... When we get closer, when we start getting our descent and start getting vectored, and don't need this stuff anymore, I will set our dial for our inbound as well. Or we can watch our guide needle for our VOR, and we can watch this too. So it looks like we're getting blown a little bit to the left. So bring that in just a little bit more. And that's assuming that our winds are still the same. As you can see, we're still going straight up that line. So Ernest absolutely trashed his landing at Syracuse, so hopefully we don't repeat his mistakes. Apparently the DC-2, which was flown at this time in the story, was a very unforgiving plane, where the DC-3 was a very forgiving plane. You could make some mistakes and it would still treat you right. With the DC-2, apparently it had very stiff landing gear. And apparently if you were not precise with it, she smashed down the runway. Quite violently at times, from my understanding, and according to Ernest Gann in his book.
Flight 6, Binghamton approach, descend and maintain 3100. Maintain current heading 005 vectors for the ILS runway 28 approach.
Descend and maintain 3100. Maintain heading 005 for vectors to the ILS runway 28 approach. Flight 6.
All right, so we're going to set our pitch for descent. About 800 feet per minute. And we leave cruise power setting in. We're going to pull back the throttle as we go down because it's going to boost up. And we should gain 1 inch of manifold pressure for every 1,000 feet we go down. As you can see, as we descend, that manifold pressure is coming right back up. So we just stay on top of it, keep bringing it back to 30. Watch it up, coming down. There's 5,000. You should start seeing the manifold pressure climb again. So we'll bring that back. It's actually modeled pretty well. I'll like it if we keep this visibility up. So we'll be able to see the runway sooner than later. Alright, so we're getting a vector heading, so we're going to turn the dial to 280. Set up for our ILS. And we'll take this VOR out of standby. We'll put our ILS in, and we should start picking that up soon. Still pretty far out. Doesn't look very IFR to me, guys. Looks like we're below the cloud layer. Of course, I did dial the time back, so to the morning. I like it. We may be able to go visual. I like that. Alright, we need to come down so fast. We got some time. Coming in, so we could turn our landing lights on. It's a little early, but I'm not gonna get a hit for that. We'll hold off on the booster pumps. We can't go to our main tanks, so we'll just double check that we have plenty of fuel.
Flight 6, turn right, heading 030.
Turning right, heading 030. Flight 6.
Alright, turn 030. Start vectoring us in. Alright, so we can go left main, hold off for a second, make sure that the engine stays running, and it's good, and we'll go right main. Both engines are running. Alright, and we'll go right engine auto rich, and we'll wait, make sure that stays running. That's good. And both engines auto rich. Yeah, I'll bring the props up to 2350. Gives us some drag when you do that. Helps us slow down. So it takes a little bit to slow down. We can bring that back to 30. And start trying to slow down here.
Flight 6,
Flap
contact
speed.
Syracuse approach on 134.275.
Switching to Syracuse approach on 134.275, flight 6.
Still haven't picked up our ILS yet, but we're still probably a little bit out.
Syracuse approach, flight 6, morning, maintaining 3,000.
Flight 6,
So
Syracuse
think I
approach.
will-
Good morning, Syracuse, altimeter 29.29er.
Approach checklist. Do altimeters check. It's good. Altimeters set. Fuel selectors main. Mixtures auto rich. Approach checklist. So we'll just maintain our visual of the ground. There's a lot of terrain up here by Syracuse. I don't know if you guys have ever been up here. It's quite a bit of mountainous terrain. I used to go fishing upstate New York in Pulaski, which is just a little bit above Syracuse, on Lake Ontario. Used to go salmon fishing up there. We used to keep our boat up there. It was loads of fun. Yeah, brown trout in the spring and salmon in the fall.
Airway 01, Mike Juliet.
1 Mike Juliet, turn left heading 080.
Turning left 080.
Beautiful livery. Yeah, see, we caught a little ice. Caught a little ice.
Can we get direct Chile and down to 2000, please?
Flight 6, Syracuse approach. Turn left heading 010.
Left heading 010, flight 6.
Alright, 010. So we accumulated some ice in our trip. Not too bad, I kept the anti-ice on. So I mark that tower. See what that looks like. I think we're off to the right of that tower. Should be somewhere around Cortland. There's a bar that we'd stop at called Three Bears in Cortland. I think it was Cortland. Just before Syracuse. Get breakfast there. Okay, so there's that tower. Should be over it. Actually, we're going to probably be just off to the left of it. Or right over top of it. Charts here. Precision altitude 613. Got a final approach altitude of 1,600 feet. And an intercept of 2,700 at Stoda. Of course, we don't have Stoda because we don't have a GPS. And we've got our ILS ready to go.
Flight 6, turn right, heading 060.
Right turn, heading 060. Flight 6.
060 on our heading. It's going to set us up for a little bit of a 45-degree
Flight
intercept.
6, 900 miles from Tilly, turn right, heading 020. Descend and maintain 2100 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 28 approach.
Right heading 020. Descend and maintain 2100 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 28 approach. Flight 6.
But I think we're going to be able to go visual, guys, so that should be good. Alright, power back a little bit. Slow down a little more. Now I'm dropping down to 1,600. Here's our final approach fix altitude. Since we are visual here, I could be on the lookout for any obstacles. Throttles up to 24. Help slow us down. Still way fast. Alright, so we'll turn inbound. That's Lake Oneida out in front of us. Go flaps 1. Well, flaps quarter. That should slow us down pretty good. There we go. The airport should be out over here. And go flaps half. There's 140, gear can come down. Watching for that inbound needle for runway 28 to come in. And we'll turn to the heading.
turnabout heading 115, Couch 323. Couch 323, contact Boston Center on 124.125.
Start turning in.
124.125, Couch 323. Syracuse departure, touch 420 at 2,600, climbing 17,000. Direct Syracuse, I think.
Flight 6, contact Syracuse Tower on 120.3.
Contacting Syracuse Tower on 120.3. Flight 6.
Getting a little slow. Probably because I put the gear out just a little too early.
Syracuse Tower, Flight 6. Morning, we're established on the ILS approach for runway 28.
Alright, boosters on.
Flight 6, Syracuse Tower, roger, continue approach. Winds 270 at 17 gusting 24. Runway 28 cleared to land. Attention all aircraft, Golf now, current altimeter 2953.
Alright, landing checklist. Fuel boosters on, propeller set, landing lights on, gear down and locked, tail wheel locked. Landing checklist. Before landing checklist complete. Alright, so we're off course just a little bit. Let's bring that nose around. Looking for that runway. Should be off our nose. Without any DME equipment, I can't really tell. Ah, there we go. There's our airport, and there's our runway. All right. Now we can go visual. So we're just to the left. I'm just going to make adjustments. Don't stay on autopilot for now. Just slight adjustments. I'll turn the autopilot off when we hit our intercept. So we probably got a pretty hefty crosswind. What did they say? The wind's 320 gusting 19. At 19 gusting 30. No, that was Wilkes Barre. 270 gusting 17. Or 270 and 17 gusting 24. So we got just a slight hit off the nose. And there's our glide slope intercept coming in. Flaps 3/4.
Tango Hotel, contact departure. Contact to departure, fair enough thing hotel, great morning.
Right, autopilot off. Hydraulics set aft for landing. And let's get on in. Alright, flight recorder can come on. Start powering back. Trim. Alright, below 112, flaps full. feel those gusts bouncing us around. I keep the speed up just a little bit because of that crosswind. Yeah, I'm getting a little low. Try to keep it around 90 miles an hour. You can see it gusting. As that airspeed needle's bouncing up and down. Keep it a little shallow. We are visual. There we go, we're on a glide path. Gusts are murder. That steering wheel. All right, put me back in our lap. That you could tell we had a heck of a headwind because you see how fast we slowed down? I didn't even touch the brakes.
Flight 6, welcome to Syracuse. Contact ground on 121.7.
Switching to ground on 121.7. Flight 6.
All right, tail wheel unlocked.
Syracuse ground, Flight 6.
Let's
Morning,
bring that
we're clear
RPM
of
down
runway
to
28 and ready to taxi to the gate.
We are not clear of runway 28 yet, but that's
Flight
okay.
6, Syracuse ground, taxi to A1 via Whiskey. Have a good day.
So,
Taxi to
flaps
A1
up.
via Whiskey. Flight 6.
Welcome to Syracuse. And we did not do an earn again landing. In the 1930s, this would have been a gravel strip. They didn't have too many paved runways. So we'll turn off here to our right.
Good evening. Delta 3934. Request clearance to push and start.
Differential power.
Delta 3934, push and start approved, tail west.
Some braking.
Push and start approved, tail west. Delta 3934.
So let's clean up the plane. Flaps are up. Landing lights can come off. We'll get the heats off, wing off. We'll turn the windshield off. There's no visible moisture. And we're gonna open up the cowl flaps, blow out that hot air, let them cool down in final ways. And we're going to taxi on up over here. I believe the engine's running for the replay. Yeah, we gotta shut that off because it doesn't like to run the engines on that replay. So we'll taxi up over here. Just to go through, we'll look at our after landing checklist. Flaps up, cow flaps open, boosters off. So let's shut the boosters off. Trim set to neutral. Pitot heat's off, and then the landing lights set for taxi. I turned them off. And neutral. And I'll park up over here. It's good. About 900 RPMs. Alright, then we would shut down and run the parking checklist. So the parking checklist, just so everyone knows: parking brake set, tail wheel lock, cow flaps closed, avionics off, generators off, mixtures idle cutoff, fuel selectors off, magnetos off, main ignition off, lights off, and the battery off for the parking checklist. And it pretty much goes through and make sure everything's shut down. But like I said, for replay purposes, we're not going to do that. But welcome to Syracuse, guys. We've completed leg 2 of our journey, and let's check out that landing. And I can get that so you guys can see. So 169, not butter, but not bad either. Touchdown at 65. No, it's G-Force 1. So passengers didn't feel a thing. Love it. Alright, so let's check out that replay. See how that landing was. Alright, so replay.
Couldn't find Ballard Airport at this position. Services are not available.
Run forward a little bit. Love the flaps on the DC-3. So they're underneath the wing, so the wing stays. The top of the wing stays the wing, and the flaps come down from underneath. It's pretty cool. All right, so let's check it out. So we were hand flying at this point. Dip the wing into the wind. Perfect. Look at that. Crosswind landing. Downwind wing tire touch first. Oh man, I love it. I love it when a plan comes together, guys. Who doesn't love the DC-3, man? Who does not love the DC-3? Alright guys, so that's going to be it for the second leg of our Fate is the Hunter tour. Probably streaming or doing something this weekend, so if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We try to stream Monday nights and Wednesday nights, but we're you know, due to my job, sometimes that gets messed up. But we do have pop-up streams, so hitting that notification bell let you know when we're up. Check it out. I don't know what we're going to be doing this weekend. Pretty much nothing new going on with 2024. So I might. I've been itching to fly the 727, so we might pop back into. Might be popping back into 2020 to. Might be popping back into 2020 and checking out the 727. I know it's got some updates and some stuff, so I don't know, but we'll get that notification going, and yeah, so that's it. So thanks for watching. This is Virtual Flight Diaries. My name is John, and stay safe, stay healthy. On to the next one. See ya.